Hi, my name's Eve Ashworth and I'm from Floxsie. I'm here today in the most magical place called Camphill Village. It's located in Copake, New York, where villagers live and work together in harmony to create the most beautiful woven products. I'm going to share a video now with you that teaches you a little bit about the Camphill Village philosophy and what they do here. You can just sit with your whips and listen in.
A person with developmental disabilities in today's world is something of a refugee. There's not really space for them in our society.
You ready?
The mission of Camphill Village is to provide a social environment where every human being can live a dignified life and contribute to his society.
Camphill Village is an integrated community where people with and without developmental differences live and work together in an entirely meaningful way.
When you come to visit us, what you would find is a community living on about 620 acres of land. The living space, the campus of it, would be about 125 acres of that. Another 125 acres are farmland, gardens. And then there is the other work areas. Camphill Village is funded, let's say, almost to half by state and federal money, and the other half by people who believe Camphill Village needs to exist, our friends and supporters.
In Camphill, everyone gets to use their abilities and not be judged to their disabilities.
I love you, baby. You are one.
I'm Marion. I've been in Camphill Village for 35 years. I like to use my hands because my hands are very interesting hands. They like to do woodwork. I make blocks, 3 holes, 2 holes. In my free time, I like to knit in my room. I knit scarves sometimes. Before Camphill Village, I had a very hard time. They gave me a second chance.
All right, go ahead.
I'm Oliver. I'm a baker in Camphill Village. I like to bake cookies, granola, bread, pizza, rolls. I've been at Camphill for about 12 years. My part of the job is to deliver bread to the houses. When I'm in Camphill, that's the way I want to be. The person with ability.
The unique thing about Camphill that there are so many people from all over the world volunteering here that all those little bits and pieces from different cultures that get woven into the life here, and everyone is open to be a part of that.
They come here to help. They're wonderful young people with the best intentions, and most of them go away feeling they've been helped. That's the magic that can happen there.
It's cooked.
For me, Camphill Village is a place where we all contribute what we can and reflect on ourselves. It's a life that's very connected to the people and to the land, and a place that makes you realize at the end of the day what's really important for you.
No one ever feels at home if it doesn't make a difference that they are there. They have to be able to cause change. If you can't cause change, you can never feel at home.
I find it very gratifying to see the ways in which people can gain more independence through their experiences here.
Being able to help other people and be a part of their lives and they're being a part of your life, I've just always really enjoyed that.
The values of Camphill for me is the simple life that really gets into the core of, in a way, humanity and survival.
If I had to say one thing that is vital to Camphill Village and its need for support, is we need to be able to continue to create an environment where even the weakest members of our society can proudly stand, find a home, and contribute and shine.
And today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Ariel Turner, who is a volunteer all the way from Australia, who works here with the villagers in New York. And she's going to tell us all about how they operate here, what they do, and some of the people that work here. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. How many people live here at Camphill?
So we currently have 100 people, 100 residents, people who live with various different abilities, and then we have between 100 to 150 plus volunteers. So these are different people who come from all walks of life and different places around the world, and we all live in a life-sharing model whereby we live together in the house. So there's about 5 people with disabilities who live in the house, and then there will be about 4 co-workers. Some of those co-workers are a married couple that have a whole family, children and things like that. And then there's usually 2 younger volunteers, but that's, when I say younger, it could be anyone of any age who wanted to come for a year. It's more like a short-term commitment. So there's people who make long-term commitments, and then there's people who are just come in for a year, 2 years, just to get the experience and see what life sharing and community life is all about.
So you came all the way from Australia to work here. Did you hear about Camphill Village through a local organisation? Did you research about them online? How did you find out about Camphill Village?
So for me, I'm a Waldorf student. I went to a Waldorf school in Australia. So I grew up sort of understanding that these communities exist around the world. Unfortunately, there isn't residential communities of this setting in Australia, so I had to come to the US to be able to have this experience. But yeah, I've grown up with the sort of the life philosophies that are connected to this community initiative.
And how long is the commitment?
Depends on, I guess, the individual's wish and what feels appropriate to them and what feels right. I think there's many people who come and do a 1-year volunteer. There's a lot of younger German people who do sort of, I believe it's called a social year. Yeah. So they come for a year and experience community life. And then there's people like myself who join the academy. So the academy is potentially a 3, 4, 5 or 6 year program, depending on what level of certification you want to go through with the academy.
So how did you know to affiliate yourself with the Weavery, and how did you know that that was something that you wanted to do?
Well, when I originally came, I was running the little co-op here and supporting that project in the village. However, I always had an attraction, I guess, to the Weavery, and I did try to move here, but it didn't work the first few years, but then when we reopened the Weavery after the pandemic, Sia really needed someone to be a bit like her right-hand man, and Sia's the main person who holds awareness of this workshop and has done for about 8 or 9 years.
Well, let's move on to the really good stuff which we're here today to talk about, and that is the woven products that you have. So let's start off with, in the past, you have a flock of sheep here, and you've processed and cleaned their fleece and turned it into yarn. And this is some of the yarn that you have produced here from your own sheep.
Yeah.
And you've hand-dyed all of this yarn too, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something really beautiful seeing the wool process right through, like from the beginning. It hasn't just shown up from the store. So I believe in the past they would have, different people would focus on the task of cleaning the wool, so pulling out all the twigs and thistles and whatever got stuck in the sheep as they were out in pasture. And then the sheep are hand shorn here by the farmers, and then it was our process of cleaning it and then spinning it, and then later on we went to the dyeing process. However, one of the main ladies who was kind of heading that was Rochelle, and she has actually retired and she's moved to Camphill again, so she is no longer working the Weavery with us, but that was really the project that she focused on.
Great, and then, so you use plastic bags to make some of your products. Can you show some of the plastic bags? Maybe the blue woven one right there.
Yeah, so Elijah, just off camera, is actually creating the yarn that we use to weave into the plastic bags.
And that's like New York Times bags.
Yeah, I guess it's like the rain cover for the New York Times bags.
Great.
So we get donations from within the community, different houses collect whatever plastic bags that they have, but we also have family members that bring things to the Weavery because they know what we're producing here and they know which resources are going to be useful. Might be trash to someone, but actually we can really turn it into something. So we have the New York Times bags that Elijah's turning into yarn, and then the product that gets made is sort of like the shopping bag, I guess. So we've got the warp that is of cotton warp, and then we use the different plastic bags and we weave through, and we just make sure we leave a gap between each bag, and we actually weave the straps in as we create the product.
Wow, so yeah, because when you weave it, there's a warp and a weft, right?
Yeah.
So the weft would be the plastic.
Yeah, but the warp is
The warp is the cotton.
So it's all it's like upcycling. We're trying to do what we can with the products that already exist in the world instead of creating a demand for new things, and trying to create something beautiful in the process as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nathan sometimes works on this, but mostly it is one of the co-workers here, just because it is an intensive process to constantly create new yarn, but there's many people that are involved in the different steps, which is why this product I think is quite interesting, because different abilities are able to support the creation of this product. It's not just...
So we met Elizabeth today, and she was telling us that she made this one here.
Yeah, so Elizabeth often works on the looms that have the thinner cotton, so it's a bit more of a fragile warp, and she is really fast and efficient, and also is very clear on when mistakes are. She's able to really track her own progress, and then always calls us over just to check things. So she created this blue pattern. She's currently working on a different loom that we recently set up, and so the material that is made to create the pouches is also usually what we will be using for the napkins. So this is the napkin material.
So the workers that come here, the villagers, they don't work here all day. They just come here for whenever they want. Is that correct?
No, so this is a consistent craft studio. The model of the village is whereby we have a morning place that we spend time, and then we also have an afternoon place. So this craft studio is only open in the afternoons. So everyone who is a part of this workshop comes 2:30 every single day to 5 o'clock, and basically creates beautiful things.
Beautiful crafts.
Yeah, exactly. So we have many different craft studios throughout the community. So there's a candle shop and a book bindery that also works with paper crafts, and they're making cards and many different products. We also have the gardens and the healing plant, and there's also quite a lot of therapeutic work that's created around the land and the outdoor space. We have farm, and then we also do like hand milking and all these things. So most of what we try to create in community is very meaningful and like purpose-filled tasks.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of the workers that are here and how long they've been working and how skilled they are as weavers.
Yeah. So we have quite a few different people of different ages. We currently have a crew of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A couple of the crew members that we have here are seasonal, so they will come in during the winter, but actually in a few weeks, now it's spring, they will be going back into the garden. So our gardens close down, obviously, when the ground freezes over, and so then they come and support us here in the weavery, but then they will go back to the garden. So we have Rochelle. She is one of our all-time weavers, and she actually trained over in the UK, and she was one of the people that really sparked the initiation of creating the weavery, because she came here, she had a skill that she wanted to develop further, and she went to do a particular training, and then this whole workshop really came about because of the pioneering of Rochelle and her abilities, and she is a very incredible weaver, so much so that there's very little I have to do except for just tightening a few things, and she is always going to call my attention and say, fix this, and sometimes I won't know what to do and I have to figure it out, and then when I figure it out, she goes, oh, you did a good job. So she's really, I really look at her as such a role model, but also kind of, she's my boss, like she's the one in charge, and I think that's the thing about this craft studio and the work we do here is it really is, they're the ones leading the show. I'm just the one in the back, tightening screws and making bobbins and just all those little things, but they're really the ones who carry the creation of what we make here in the weavery.
Wow, that's really wonderful. Well, you make some beautiful things. This is really interesting. So this is actually using peat moss that comes from Germany, another woven product here, and this is the peat that they use, and they put it together with cotton, and they use that to weave this beautiful woven piece, which could be a table runner.
Yeah, a table runner or a scarf. We also, Peat Moss has got a particular, I don't know, health benefits. There's
It helps protect from electromagnetic.
Yeah, so for some people it is a real commodity, I guess, peat, and we do just sell yards of the material as well. We don't necessarily always create products. There was a time where they were creating vests and scarves in this weavery, but this is when a different person was running it. So I think that's one thing that happens in this space is that depending on who's here and what the interest is I guess depending on where we focus our creations. So we are still working with the peat. We have got a loom that we just ordered in the fibers from Germany, so we can set it up in the next coming months, and then we can get back on the production of peat. But it is it's a very interesting product to weave with. It is very fibrous, which is why it's mixed with the cotton. But there is something very, I guess, healing or therapeutic when someone's working with this kind of fiber. There is a protectiveness that is created through the peat moss, and so it's a very beautiful product to work with.
Wow, that's great. Well, the work here that are produced by skilled weavers is so beautiful, and you can always go to camphillvillage.org and see the products in the shop, and you can purchase products from online in your store. There is a gift shop here in Copake, New York, and you have a couple of other gardens. Why don't you talk about some of the other things that you have here? You've got a garden that's dedicated to a seed company, you've got some vegetable gardens, but you tell me about those gardens that you have here.
Yeah, so alongside the craft studios that we have here, we also have a big focus on the land work, maintaining the land, being stewards of the land, and there is different gardens that are a part of that. So we have a healing plant garden that produces herbs and different plants that go into teas or different creams and body lotions. And that's one garden. It's probably one of the most beautiful gardens because of the way it's landscaped and just the design of the beds and everything. It's such a beautiful place to visit in the summertime. We also have the vegetable garden. That's the main focus, is to produce food that we can all eat within the community. So pretty much most of the food that we consume is grown here in the garden, especially in the summer. In the winter time we need to bring in a few things, but mostly we have it pretty well covered. And two of our weavers, Elizabeth and Elijah, they are gardeners during the gardening season, and then they're weavers during the winter season. The other main garden production that happens in the village is the turtle tree seed, which is a workspace that grows products so that they can harvest the seeds, biodynamic seeds that then we package up, and everyone has quite a big role to play in the process of cleaning and sorting and then distributing the seeds and packaging the seeds, and then they are shipped off to anyone and everyone who would like them. And they are, it's a big part of what's being done here, is to be in the nature but also to be creating
So there's
crafts.
plenty for people to do here, for the villagers to do. They can really decide what their strengths and skills are and work to develop those skills over time. It's just a brilliant model.
There is a big role in creating meaningful work, not just creating things for people to do for the sake of keeping people busy. That's really not what Camphill is about. Pretty much every single thing that happens in either the studios or out on the land is because it is of a need, and it's something to produce and it's something to grow, and it's either consumed within the village or it's sent out to the wider world. And I think the real intention here is not just to keep people busy and entertained. It's actually about refining capacity and skill building, and that our people really take pride in the work that they have. You know, if they're a weaver, they're a weaver, and there's really a certain level of ownership of the work and pride in the work, and I think a real sense of confidence that comes with that model in a way is that our people feel empowered in the work that they do. And you know, if they're a farmer as well, it's the same thing. They have a real dedication to the work. They are waking up at 6 a.m. to go hand milk, and they have a whole role that's a part of that. And I think it gives people a real sense of agency in their life. And you know, people have different work changes as they feel like it's something they might want to explore, and the different co-workers that live with them can help advocate for that. And there is a review process that happens each year, and in that's where the person is really given the chance to say what they want to move to next and what might be something that they want to see as their vocation. But it is really like vocation training. These are people that are weavers for 30, 40 years, longer than I've been alive, or farmers, and they are so proficient that, as a co-worker who comes in for a couple of years, I'm really at the mercy of their teaching. They really show me how to do my job properly, and they keep me in line as well, and they keep me really accountable to what I need to do as a co-worker in Camphill community.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, Ariel. It's been wonderful being here with you and the villagers and learning more about the weavery here at Camphill Village.
You're welcome.
Yay! I have the distinct opportunity to be here with Elijah Kent, who is a Camphill villager, right? That's what you're a villager here in Camphill Village. Tell us a little bit about what you do here.
I have been living here for almost 12 years, and I work in the vegetable garden most of the year full-time. In the wintertime, I work in the weavery in the afternoons, in the bakery in the morning. And
you've been working on one piece of woven fabric for a while now, right?
Yes.
Since January.
Yes.
And did you choose the colors?
No, at the beginning I didn't, but then we changed my colors, and I did choose my colors.
You did choose your colors?
Yeah.
Which colors are your favorite?
Red. I really like red and blues and green. I mostly like every color, but red's my favorite.
Red's your favorite. Yeah. So today's a pretty big day, right?
Yeah, today's my last day in the Weavery.
It's your last day in the Weavery. And what's going to happen today?
We're gonna
You're going to cut off the
cut
woven.
off the woven that I've been working on, and yeah.
Since January.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's great. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
All right, so should we go to it?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, this is cool. So this is the fabric you've been working on since January.
Yes.
Yeah, and Elijah just told me something that I didn't know a few minutes ago, was that he's actually a Special Olympics champion
Yeah.
in skiing. Do you have a favorite event?
I like the slalom
Do the slalom?
because in a giant slalom, I just like to go really fast on my skis.
And he is a gold Olympian, a gold medal Olympian.
Yeah. And next year, I'm going to be representing Massachusetts in the Special Olympics North American Games.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, who knew? So today you're winding off the woven fabric that you have been working on for a few months now.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to do is just keep turning this, correct? Is that what you just keep turning?
Yeah.
We're rolling off the...
And I know these napkins aren't going to be going to the gift shop because my brother just opened up a store in Great Barrington and these napkins are going to that store.
Elijah's brother is going to create a store where he wants to sell different kinds of things locally made, and so he specifically asked for what Elijah's been working on as well.
Wow, so your brother has a store
Yeah.
in Great Barrington,
Yeah.
Massachusetts, and
Yeah.
he's going to be selling this woven fabric.
Yes.
Going to make it into napkins,
Yep.
and then he's going to sell it in his shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant.
But Elijah,
So good.
he's been working very hard to get this done before he moves to the garden, so he's been very dedicated to...
So he's dedicated a lot of time and planned it all out to today being able to cut it off, because tomorrow he's moving over to the garden again. So
yeah.
honestly, so you're a gardener, a weaver, a gold medal Olympian,
An actor.
an actor.
He's in the Good Friday play.
Yay!
He's a man of many talents.
And I'm also a musician, aren't I, Ariel?
And a photographer.
Photographer and assistant of the Weavery.
And I also play a musical instrument also.
You were also a musician?
Yes.
Which musical instrument do you
I play the lyre.
The lyre.
Yeah.
Is that a string?
Yeah, it's kind of like a harp, but it's a little bit smaller.
Wow.
It's like a handheld harp.
It's a handheld harp. The lyre. Wow, that's great. Well, that's beautiful. All that work. Hours and hours of work right there.
This is the second or third cut-off. So he's done that already twice on this loom. So this is the second round of that one.
Wow.
Because we already cut it off to produce, I think, 24 napkins in the beginning.
Okay, so this is the second piece of fabric that he's been able to produce this year. Here we go.
Do you want me to cut it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
How do you feel, Mr. Kemp? Nice. So then we can, yeah.
That's amazing, Elijah. When you come to Floxsie, you're going to learn all about Camphill Village and the people that work here. It's a magical place.
Thank you for your time, and we appreciate you watching this video. To learn more, visit Floxsie.com.